At our house, we made caramel popcorn probably once or twice a week. And so I'm showing you how to make the caramel popcorn that I normally make. And we'll start with the popcorn. I've already popped one load. And let me tell you about popcorn. If you keep it in the freezer, it will pop longer and better than if you keep it in a cupboard somewhere. So the idea is to keep the moisture in the kernels. That's what the freezer does. I use an air popper because it keeps some of the oil out of it. You can actually use your microwave popcorn, but you know, it's not as good. It also has butter and it has salt on it. So if you like it that way, fine. It's convenient, but I like to use my air popper. So I put a third of a cup of kernels in my air popper, and then I plug it in, and we'll get these popping. It helps me. Okay, I have popped this bowl of corn, and it's nice and fluffy because it's fairly new corn. And then I want to make sure that I get all of the unpopped kernels out of this because I don't want it in my caramel popcorn. So we'll just kind of shake it to get those out of there. Although this popcorn has done very well and hasn't left a lot of unpopped kernels. I told Mark that the ones that are not popped are called culls, and he didn't believe me, so I've been using unpopped kernels. Okay, so if you can see that, that's the kernels that are left in there. Okay, and we'll just throw those away. So we've got our popcorn here. I usually pop about a cup of unpopped kernels to get that much. And that's about right for the amount of caramel we're going to make. We use a cup of butter, and real butter, don't use margarine. Of course, you won't catch me using too much margarine in anything. And get that melting. And to that, I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Now, when you do the brown sugar, it's packed brown sugar, not just loose brown sugar. It's packed that way. In fact, every recipe you use that has brown sugar in it should be packed in the cup that you're doing so that you get the right amount. Okay, so 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 1/2 cup of Karo syrup, and use the light Karo syrup, like light corn syrup. Make sure you get it all out. All right, and then to that we add one-half teaspoon of cream of tartar. And the idea is to get that butter all melted, the sugar's all melted. Try not to splash it up on the sides of your pan, because sometimes sugar crystals that don't melt make the product sugary. So we're just going to stir it around until we can get that butter melted. and everything's bubbling together. And let me tell you, it doesn't take very long because you don't want your caramel to be so chewy you can't bite it. So we're going to just cook this to a soft candy. And it just takes a very short time, but I'll show you how to test it so you don't have to have a thermometer. Okay, the butter is melted, the sugar is pretty well melted. What I'm doing is just letting it bubble here a little bit. Now, the way to test this, and I just want a soft candy, is I have a cup of ice cold water, and I'm just going to put a spoonful of that candy in there. And then with my hand, I'm going to test it to see if it'll stay in a soft ball stage. See? That's just a little soft ball that I can mash, but that's the way you want your caramel to be. Turn off the heat. See how fast we got that to come up? It was just when the butter was melted, it was done. To this, I add a half a teaspoon of vanilla and stir it up really good. And then we're going to add a half a teaspoon of soda and a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Now I'm going to show you what this is doing. I want to get this all stirred in there, and it foams up. Hopefully you can see how it's foamed up, okay? And stir it. It's foamy. It's ready to pour on your caramel. I like to use a heavy bottomed pan so that it doesn't burn. And Mark is pouring this on, and I move the bowl around.
Is that fast enough?
And I'm stirring the caramel in to try to get caramel on all that corn. And it's still foamy looking. It still looks, boy, it smells good though. It smells buttery. Okay. Whatever you do, if you have somebody pour it for you, just don't get your hand underneath the candy. It'll burn you big time. Scoop it from the sides so that it's getting all that caramel on it. All right, scrape it out. Got to get all of it. And we've got it. All right, our caramel popcorn is done. Kind of stir it around, make sure all the caramel is, you don't have a lot of corn that doesn't have caramel on it. And it's yummy. Now, you can make caramel popcorn balls out of this, or I just like to have it so people can dip into it and eat it. At first, it's very, very hot, so wait for it to cool a little bit, and then you're ready to go.